Hi Winederlusters. In this episode, we're heading to Bordeaux. Bonjour Winederlusters. My name's Janine and I love wine travel. And in this season, we are leaving Australia and we're heading to beautiful France. I'm speaking to a bunch of wine lovers and wine experts that have lived and worked in France. And we learn all about different regions outside of the capital. And I share a couple of my tips. So grab yourself a glass and let's get exploring. In this episode, I'm speaking with Laura Jallier. You might remember Laura from Series 5, The Women in Wine, Tourism and Hospitality, where she talked all about being a tour guide. She's married to a French guy and lived in France for many years, including 5 years in Bordeaux. In this episode, she's going to tell us all about Bordeaux, the wines there, the best places to visit, how you can even get to one of the chateaux on the local tram, and some other places to visit nearby, including some family-friendly spots. She's so fun to chat with. Please welcome Laura. Welcome, Laura. Welcome back to the Winederlust podcast.
Thank you, Janine.
It's been a few years. You were on my Women in Wine, Tourism and Hospitality series, and you were a tour guide with Van de Vin, but you've had a development in that.
I have. So in 23, I actually bought the business. It all got a bit much for the boys. They had like, inverted commas, proper jobs, I'd like to say, and I didn't. So I, took over, and it kind of worked out well because, you know, the name is French, and I have I actually am French, but with my passport. But, I have a French connection, so Van de Vin kind of suited me, and, I enjoy it, and I love being out in the wine country in Canberra, so, it was perfect.
That's so good. Congratulations. Yeah, because your French connection, is that your husband?
Yes, I married a Frenchman, much to my surprise, because I sanctioned them for a while when they were nuclear testing in the South Pacific. But, weirdly enough, I ended up marrying one who is originally from Nantes, but grew up a little bit overseas and then grew up a little bit in the Alsace, actually. So we did live there for a little bit as well. And, the kids went to school in Bordeaux, which is where we were last living before we moved to Canberra.
And you were there 5 years, you were saying?
5 years, yep. Took me a while to get used to it. Probably about a year, and then afterwards I just fell in love with Bordeaux,
And were you in Bordeaux City?
Yes, we were downtown, so we were within one of the perimeters, let's say. So cycled everywhere, did my shopping on the bike, went to get all my fruit and veg from the markets that are open all the time, and had my little bakery and chicken shop and butcher, and like typical French. All I needed was a beret, and I would have probably been the stereotypical French person. But it's a beautiful place. Yeah, really nice place.
I think the thing that surprised me about Bordeaux is what a big city it is. Because how many people would live there?
So I think the surrounding areas, if you include them, it's about 1 million people. What people get confused with is they think Bordeaux is the wine region, but actually it's the city, and then each of the wine regions has it's a different area. Yep. There are some that are sort of attached to it, like Pessac, which is a wine, Pape Clement, which is a wine region, kind of, you can catch the tram pretty much out there. So, and you'll see a vineyard and a chateau, and then you'll see like houses. So like normal city houses kind of thing. So that's probably the closest. But after that, you're in the countryside, really. Country.
So that 1 million people includes all that Bordeaux wine region countryside?
No, just Bordeaux and the little bits of...
Oh, right. They're like the suburbia almost.
Yes, exactly. The suburbia of Bordeaux. So,
how many of those wine regions are there around Bordeaux City?
I should have studied a bit more. There are a lot. I would say, if I can think of 5, so there's, the left bank, but in between there's all different, Margaux and St Emillion and Médoc, and there's all these different appellations in the left bank. And then you have Pessac, which is one of my favourite areas. Sauternes, I guess, would be included in that too. And then you've got the right bank, which then has St Emillion and Pomerol, and then you've got all the way up there on the right bank, you're looking at all these côtes, what we call the Côte de Castillon, the Côte de Blaye, all these different areas, which if you do go to Bordeaux, they're actually really good value, some of those areas, because they're not as famous as Margaux or St Emillion or, you know, these kind of famous areas. So if you're looking for like a little bargain, they're often the places to go.
Oh, that's good intel. That's
yeah.
good.
yeah.
So one of them you could get the tram to.
Yes. Pessac. Pape Clement is the name of the chateau. It's very famous, actually. Great. The wine is expensive, but it's really good. You can go, pretty much you can get the tram to there. But you can, it's a great place to see if you don't have time. It's really close. They do a great tour there. You can do, it's beautiful. The wine is beautiful as well. So I would say that's, if you didn't have time, that's the one to go and see in that sense. And the rest you pretty much have to have a car or do a tour, I presume. Tour with.
Oh, yeah. That sounds great. Yeah, because I think I went and the tourist information actually packaged up little 3-day
itineraries.
They put you on a bus to Graves and saw one chateau and St Emillion and visit one over there. And probably if you didn't want to drive, you'd have to do that. I would say it's easy to drive in Bordeaux, but it's not, because they're crazy, especially in the city. So let's have a chat about the wines, because when I think of Bordeaux, I think of red wines. Yeah. But I have just opened a bottle of wine for you to enjoy this afternoon. And they're also well known for their Semsav Blanc blend in their whites.
A lot of people don't know about the white blend of Bordeaux, which is mainly from Graves, Pessac as well. They're the ones that are allowed to have an appellation for both white and red.
Because there's lots of rules,
There's lots of rules. And then there's Entre deux mers, which is, in English, that means in between two seas. And the seas just being the Dordogne and the Garonne. So they're rivers, actually. They're not seas. But so in between this area is Entre deux mers, and appellation-wise, they can put Entre deux mers on their bottle for their Sauvignon Blanc, Semillon, and sometimes they put a bit of Muscadel in, but mainly Savsem. And they do make reds there, but they have to put wine of Bordeaux, basically, which is, you know, fine. And their reds are fine, but it's their whites that shine. And if you like oysters and seafood and things like that, it's perfect. And if you are in Bordeaux and you take a day trip the other direction and go down to a place called Cap Ferret or the Dune de Pilat, which is the biggest sand dune in Europe, actually.
Wow, I did not know.
Yeah, that's beautiful. So beautiful oceans, actually waves there as well at the beaches. Not at the Arcachon, but in Cap Ferret, you can actually get waves, so it feels a bit Australian. You have pine forests and you walk through the pine forest over the dunes to get to the... So it feels quite Australian. And then they have these little shacks.
Oh, wow.
And you can have some oysters directly from there, and then you have your Sauvignon Blanc Semillon. You don't actually get a choice. There's only that and the oysters, because the French do that very well.
They do that very well. They specialise in that.
That's it. That's all you get. If you want something else, see you later.
Yeah. And so can you tell us a bit about the red wines? I know that they're left and the right bank.
Yeah, left, right bank. Yeah, left, right bank. I guess left is more that gravelly soil, reclaimed swamped area, a lot of it actually. And pushed with the Cabernet Sauvignon. Dominant wine, so really aging style wine, and there are lots of chateaux, like really grand chateau, like you see in the picture, like Walt Disney type, almost like Walt Disney, but like really, really nice, but a bit austere. Like I always found the left bank a little bit more difficult to approach. So often you can't go and taste, or you have to book to taste, or which you often have to do anyway, but there's some really big chateaux there, like Chateau Margaux and Chateau Lafite, and they're these top tier premier cru first growth kind of chateau, and they just the general public finds it hard to do. But if you scratch a little bit, there's some beautiful places you can go, a bit more. Well, most of them are family, but a bit more family orientated. Like in Margaux, there's one that I really love is Chateau Siran, Siran, and it's a beautiful, very different style building. Fantastic wine. So I definitely recommend that. It's only probably about 30 minutes or 45 minutes from the city.
Oh, wow.
Bordeaux, but you'd have to drive for sure. Cabernet, age-worthy, Cabernet dominant. Obviously, you can have Merlot, Cabernet Franc, Petit Verdot. Theoretically, you could put Malbec in, but nobody really grows it. So that is a Bordeaux grape. People think it's Argentinian, but it's not. It's Bordeaux. So you could put all of those in, but so big tannic, chewy, eating while you're drinking style wines. But if you age them, they're stunning and lovely. And then on the other side, the right bank, you have your softer wines in the sense because they a bit more Merlot in them. So Cabernet Franc Merlot and a bit of Cabernet Sauvignon. And I think that's what people tend to, you can drink a little bit easily, the blend. And they even have 100% Merlot in some areas.
Pomerol?
Yes, in Pomerol, which are beautiful, beautiful wines as well. So people who have gone off Merlot in Australia, they can be so beautiful.
Yeah.
And that's, Pomerol, St Emillion, I guess the most known areas. But like I said, if you can go to the Côte de Castillon, there are some fantastic vineyards out there as well. But a must-see, I guess, is St Emillion because it's a beautiful, beautiful town. And if you go there, there's some amazing restaurants, Logis de Cadenne. I can put them on a list for you later. It's a bit of a special place to go. And what I always recommend in St Emillion is they've got one of the biggest monolithic churches. Oh. And you can go to, basically it's very French, if you're off season, you go to the tourist office and they give you a key. And then you just go, but then you go in and you kind of follow this recording and sort of, and it's insane, this place. Like, it's really, really interesting. And it's got the St Emillion, the monk kind of hermit lived there in a cave. Yeah, so it's all very, interesting. Like, it must have been a strange little fellow living in a cave in St Emillion, but, because of the clay and I guess some, limestone, they could get in there and get into the limestone and knock it out. And so it's got a fascinating history. So It's not just about the wine. It's also beautiful, beautiful history as well if you're interested in that.
Yeah. Well, it's good to mix it up, isn't it? Like, enjoy the wine, but also learn a bit about where you are as well.
Exactly. And all of that area, like, he was a hermit, but if you are interested in history, if you go a bit further out to Dordogne, then it's all the troglodytes, all the cave people, and they've got some of the oldest found cave men, I don't know how many million years old, and you can go in there and see the Cave de Lascaux with the old ancient cave paintings, and the whole area is absolutely fantastic. Yeah.
This is some history that I don't think people get told about very much. Like,
I know, because I think people, when they think France, they think either Nice or Paris. I guess, really, in a way, that's their place.
Or Champagne, maybe.
But Bordeaux it's not just wine. So if you're travelling and with kids, definitely see the cave. They'll find that so fascinating to see the troglodyte, kind of area, and the beaches are brilliant, like real surfing beaches, and great food, and a lot of history. Yeah, a lot of history. Even in Bordeaux, there's things for kids to do. There's a place called the Cité du Vin, and was built, I guess, when I was there. So it was probably like 8 years ago, maybe, or less. And it's this beautiful architectural building on the river. You can go in, and the kids could go in, and it's quite sensory, so you can touch everything and smell everything, and you hear people speaking, and you can really smell all the different aromas that you'll find in all the wines. And they have wines from around the world.
Oh, wow.
So they even have a little tiny Australian section. And so that's great for kids. And you can go and see where the Germans built a submarine base.
Oh, wow.
Where they kept their submarines in the World War II, and that's turned into this light display, and it's got art and light. So there's lots and lots of stuff to do there for sure.
When you've lived in France for several years, outside of Bordeaux, where would you like to go? Where did you go on holidays to when you lived in France?
We actually went mostly to the Alps, the French Alps.
Right, great.
So the Savoie, so it's very much, different wine, completely different wine.
So they make wine up in the Alps?
Yes,
yeah.
the Savoie, so they'll have quite acidic wine, which makes sense because it's up in Sauvignon, and quite high up. But it goes so well with their cheese because there's got a lot of dairy, and their raclette and fondues and things like that. So that wine kind of cuts through that fat. So it sort of works out perfectly. So that is, that's about an 8-hour drive over there.
Wow.
But what I would suggest actually, if you're just staying on that southwest side, I used to go down towards the Basque, into the Basque country, which is stunning. So San Sebastian, so the Basque they have their own culture, their own language.
Yes.
Very different to any other language I've ever heard in my life. But they're a fascinating culture, and they have if people have heard of the Piment d'Espelette, there's a town there called Espelette, and they're famous for these little chili peppers.
Oh, right.
And if you go into the town, all the houses are covered in these Espelette these little chili peppers drying.
Yeah.
So that's kind of interesting. Also the cake, the gâteau, the Basque cheesecake.
Yeah.
You find them everywhere. They're so good. And then go down to San Sebastian, which is about 2 hours from Bordeaux driving.
Really? That close? Wow.
Maybe 2.5. Yeah. And then you're in a whole different country, and then to me that was the most amazing food in the world. And they have wine down there as well. They have the chacoli, the sparkling that they hold up high. And all the pinchos, so the little tapas. But that's a whole different country, but honestly 2.5 hours.
Yeah, because when I went to San Sebastian, I caught the train from Paris to Biarritz.
Biarritz.
And I met a friend who flew in from the UK. And then we just got the bus over to San Sebastian. Yeah. So I knew from Biarritz, but I didn't realise Biarritz was that close to Bordeaux.
Yeah, it is. It's really close. And that's also another place to go to because it's beautiful.
It was nice.
As well. But wine-wise, I'm trying to think. You get in the Landes or the Gers, you get the Armagnac. If you like Armagnac.
So that's comparable to cognac, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it's better than
a lot of people say that, but just to describe it,
for me, it's a bit like cognac. It's twice distilled. It's wine-based, but distilled twice. So it takes a lot of effort to make. And it's just one of those fairly low-key places. It's quite expensive, but I can remember the first time I went there, I went and I was with a friend who comes from down there, and we're like, let's go into this place, and met this old man who was probably about 110 years old. And she's like, oh, let's get your birth here. You didn't get your birth here. And so we walk into his shed, like his sort of like our sheds, but, wooden, and had kind of straw all over the ground. And then we were just walking through, and he's like, kicking the straw, trying to find the bottles, trying to find, 1970, which apparently was a good year. So eventually we found one, and it was literally like going back to, those things you see in the movies, but it's still a bit like that sometimes in the French.
Is Armagnac very touristy?
No,
I wouldn't. It's not a place I've heard people mention visiting. So that's awesome.
That whole area, it's beautiful, Paul, and there's a whole nother area down there. It's less touristy, probably less interesting because it's quite flat. Mm-hmm. Whereas St Emillion, that side, on the right bank, you've got these beautiful rolling hills. Dordogne as well, you've got the rolling hills. So in that sense, it's a little bit less interesting. But you can do the Camino down there. That's the Camino. you go through Bordeaux and then down through there, and
then it goes
through
through
some Armagnac and go over the Pyrenees or something.
Oh, fantastic. Oh, that's so good. There's some excellent tips in
there.
A
lot of information to cover a big lot of ground.
And a lot of those areas aren't a long way, like except for the Alps, but a lot of them aren't too far from Bordeaux. So
super, super close. And, you know, depending when you are there, if you go in summer to anywhere in France, you've got to look out for your festivals. Can be music, but also cultural one. Like near Bordeaux, there's I'll have to remember the name of it, but they have like a big medieval festival every year, so they all get dressed up. You can take the kids, you can practice archery, and then you sit down on these big wooden tables and eat kind of medieval food or something.
Sounds fun.
They're locals that do it. You know, it's not some kind of medieval people who are just interested in that. It's really this sort of traditional festival. So in summer definitely look out for that. In winter you have to kind of push to get into places because they're not keyed up for winter tourism as much maybe as Paris or Champagne or areas like that. But which is when you get the key to the monolithic church because there's no one who can take you. But see, I love stuff like that because I just think it's quirky. And funny. And you're doing it on your own. There's no crowds so there's always there's never a bad time to travel.
Oh, that's such a good way. That's such a good motto.
Yes, especially as our summer holidays are their winter, so you've got to work it out.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Is there anything else you wanted to add?
No, just to enjoy Bordeaux. There are almost something like 10,000 chateaux, chateau is a vineyard.
Wow, that is massive, isn't it?
So that's your winemaking place, the chateau they call them. And some of them are not chateau, like out of Walt Disney. They're really just nice houses. But almost 10,000. So there's no way you can get to all of them. And depending, go wherever. You never be afraid to ask. I used to, by the way, when I lived in Bordeaux, I actually did food and wine tours, walking tours of the city.
Wow.
And that tour that I did no longer exists, the company, but there are other ones like my walking tours, and it's a great way to get to know the wine and the food of the local area and the history and the architecture. And then as a guide, I always knew the best places to eat. So always ask your guide which is the best place to eat at the moment for this or for that, and they'll know everything. So I would always suggest that.
And do that on one of your first few days.
Absolutely.
And then you can get the tips. And
don't just do the ones where you're just walking around with an umbrella. These are smaller, like up to 10 people. They used to be, and you just get everything plus basically lunch because you're eating and snacking at every single place and drinking. So definitely that would be my big tip.
That sounds like a great tip. I've done. I agree with that. I've done that in the past as well. So I think that's a really good
I loved
thing
my
to do.
own tour. Not me, but I love the whole idea of my tour.
And now you're in Canberra doing tours too.
Yes,
so that's great.
Which is great. Yeah, it's good fun, beautiful people, and people are curious and interested in wine. So I can just talk about wine all day. So
not a bad way
my
to make a
place.
living. Yeah, that's right. Thank you so much, Laura.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you for having me again.
Thank you so much for listening. You can subscribe now to get each episode as they drop. You can also check out this podcast